I'm at Southampton University at the Creative DigiFest with Gareth, Beale and Dawson, and we're here to talk about the archaeology project with the art and how it's going to link together. So what is the actual project?
We don't actually have a title yet, do we?
We don't, no. That could be a failing.
Yeah. The title of our presentation is Making History, which is very coyly named, isn't it? But it's essentially about getting students and staff from art and archaeology to work together to think about new ways of looking at archaeological data through different eyes than we're used to, really.
Yeah.
Okay, all right then. So who's actually involved in the project then?
Yeah, well, there are students from Winchester School of Art in the sculpture department, and there are archaeology students. And I guess what we'll be doing is we'll be going onto the site of major archaeological importance and trying to riff off of each other, to try to find new ways to establish what the data is about. Because things are reinterpreted all the time. So there's a head that was made 500 years ago can be reinterpreted to mean different things now. So it's a case of actively and working with those levels of reinterpretation. Yeah.
All right then. Okay, so it's sort of perception as well, and how you have your take on things. Okay. So how does interdisciplinary fit into the project?
Well, the reason we like to talk about that is because archaeology and art have traditionally been considered really different disciplines, doing things in different ways, looking at different subjects. But I think once we started talking about what it is we actually do on a day-to-day basis, so the practice of being an artist and the practice of being an archaeologist, actually there are loads and loads of crossovers, and that's when we realised we should start doing things like this, because we're often thinking in the same way and trying to do the same sort of things. We're coming at it from different directions, I think, aren't we?
Essentially, there's a non-linear aspect to your practice as well, which kind of completely mirrors the practice of an artist who chooses not to think in linear or lateral ways. So it just makes sense to collaborate.
Yeah.
I guess the other aspect which is kind of interesting as well is we both artists and archaeologists have to find cheap ways to realise projects. And that is such a common ground, because artists don't get money, so we realise projects on a shoestring, and that was such a relief to see archaeologists having to do the same.
So you're literally like the brains and the beauty clash together. Then you're like a whole package together, aren't you? Really?
I think we're both beauty. Yeah.
No comment on that one. What kind of tools and technologies do you use as part of the project?
I think that's what brought us together in the first place, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the portrait is printed on a 3D printer. So do you want to say anything about the data? Because I guess the data comes first.
Yeah, so in archaeology we spend a lot of time these days capturing 3D data. So using techniques like photogrammetry and laser scanning, we're producing bigger and bigger repositories full of 3D data, and it's not until recently that anyone has really figured out what to do with this stuff. We traditionally produced animations and things like that, but things like 3D printing have really helped us to begin to think about different ways of realising this data and sharing it with people in the rest of the world outside of the archaeological community. And the first time we saw people like Ian at WSA looking at sculpture and thinking digitally, we suddenly realised there was this whole other community in the university who were already way further down that path than we were. And so it was just a fantastic opportunity to talk to them about expressing things using these kind of media, basically.
And we like to, I guess the 3D printer is kind of interesting. We like to kind of always find similes elsewhere. It's how you build a sort of network of understanding of life, of the world, I guess. So what was interesting when we started printing these heads, they're printed in layers of powder, so you end up with a bed of powder. What was kind of fascinating about it was then having to hoover up and excavate this newly printed head. So they just kind of completely mirrored the original excavation of it in a way. So there was this beautiful poetry between both activities that I think kind of meant that we kind of felt like continuing collaborations.
So it's a little bit like in Jurassic Park, in the first one, when they've got is it the first one? They've got the new video thing and they're learning how to make the raptor head, isn't it? It's sort of like that, and they do it layer by layer, so it must be really interesting to see. I don't know, it's my knowledge anyway.
Yeah, or banal if you've got to sit through 48 hours of it, because it's almost 2 days to print something like that.
But you must be happy with the end process.
Kind of pulling it out and seeing this kind of virgin head, which was obviously data from a an ancient head. There's kind of just, you have this real juncture between the two things that's kind of really interesting. And it speaks of our time, without a doubt.
Well, thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Thank you.